What's up, everybody? Teancum here. What's up, everybody? Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. We are back with another block bio. We're gonna do the pinwheel today. Let's get started. So why the pinwheel? Now this is a super easy block and it can make some beautiful, elegant quilts out of it. And it has a lot of American values in it. Every election day, every presidential day, you find the American pinwheels. But that is not where it all originated from. So let's go find out. Wow, ooh, that was good. We're gonna find out. What do I need to say at the end? Let's go find out how it all started. So when we think about the pinwheel, we always think about this guy right here. But in reality, the block was made in the 1800s. This is during a time period when the windmill was extraordinarily popular. And we're going right into the Industrial Revolution, so it was super important. And hence, the name pinwheel came from windmill, and it has that kind of design to it. It more resembles the windmill than the actual pinwheel. So let's keep learning some more. Now, one of the unique features of this quilt block is it originated in the 1800s. Not only that, it was during the time period of 1812, the war. And this was the first time when quilting became more than just a blanket on a bed. It became more of aesthetically pleasing. It started becoming a hobby, and so it was a very unique time period, and the pinwheel got to kind of kickstart that for all of us. So let me show you how you make a very simple pinwheel. So now it's time to pick some colors. Pick whatever you like. I'm gonna pick some very contrasting colors, that way we can see exactly how the block is made. I'm gonna grab myself a purple here, nice purple color. For my background colors, let's grab a gray, and just for an additional color, let's grab some green. I'm gonna cut up probably like a fat quarter of each of these so I can show you guys how to make it, and I'm gonna see you in the film room. So guys, before we even start here, I'm gonna say it every single time here. Change your needle. New project, new needle. I'm gonna get a shirt made out of that, okay? So I'm gonna change my needle real quick. And guys, since you're here, do a onesie over your machine. Check to see if you have any like fuzz or lint or anything like that. Just check it, okay? Grab my new needle here, dump it in here, tighten it down. It's not that hard. New needle, new project. It's gonna save you a ton of frustration. And now we're on to the sewing process of this, okay? I gotta thread this stuff. Now, another friendly reminder, we just got some fabric here. Go ahead and iron it, starch it a little bit. It does not hurt to just take it over here, give it a little mist over here, and a light iron. It will save you a ton of time in the long run here. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna show you how you make this. It's not very hard, it's a very simple block. I've already pre-constructed one, that way everyone can kind of know where we're going here. Now, what a lot of people are gonna say is that block right there doesn't resemble this quilt behind me. If you look very carefully, this is just a more complex version of the pinwheel quilt. All we've done is added more to it. But the original block is what you see right there. Pinwheels have been around forever. You can make absolutely beautiful and elegant quilts. Let's dive right on into it with some cutting instructions. I'm gonna do mine in green and some gray here. As long as your two pieces of fabric, your color and your background fabric, are cut to be the same size square, it works. You can do this 20 by 20 squares, you can do this 5 by 5 squares, you can do this 10 by 10 squares. I'm gonna be doing this 10 by 10 squares. Pretty much the only reason is because layer cakes out there, guys. 10 by 10 squares, absolutely amazing product to have, easy to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start trimming this up. I'm actually gonna cut both the gray and the green together. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just do a flush cut, make sure everything is super, super straight. Makes it a lot easier for me. Grab my rotary cutter, cut down this way. People in the last video were a little bit ticked with my cutting technique. I get it, guys. I'm gonna cut everything 100% proper in this video. That way everyone knows that I do know how to do that. So I've got this 100% straight, 100% straight on the bottom. Now I need a 10-inch square. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to line this up with some numbers on my mat here, make sure I'm perfectly straight and everything is great. And I'm going to cut this into a 10-inch strip. So right here, this can be used for later. I'm going to turn it one more time here to get myself my 10-inch square. Now I could use a square ruler and all that, but I'm trying to make it easy for everyone. Everyone should have the 6 by 24 inch ruler, or a 6 by 18 at least. So let me just drop this down here. Now as you can see, now I've got a perfect 10 by 10 square, both the green and the gray there. As far as sewing instructions, we're gonna sew a 1/4 inch all the way around this thing. Turn on your sewing machine, guys. Important step. Nice and slow. Right there, we have a perfectly sewn 360 10-inch square here. Now, since we are needing half square triangles for this project, all we have to do is we're gonna cut this corner to corner in both directions. Now, I'm making this bigger than the example that I just showed you guys, just because it's easier to see on the camera, it's easier to see what I'm doing. This one right here. So this is going to leave us with some amazing half square triangles. Now that we have these cut and sewn, it is time to iron them. We're gonna iron everything to the dark side. This is now gonna be some amazing B-roll of ironing. So, just a plug in here, I don't care if you're using Best Press, I don't care if you're using Flatter, start your project. It helps a ton. It lays everything way flatter. You pick, okay? So, now I've got these, it's time to trim these guys up. Now we need to trim all 4 blocks to the exact same size. I like to use a square ruler. I happen to have one right here. I think everyone should have a really big square ruler for this very moment. Now, if you have a different tool, like a clearly slotted perfect trimmer ruler, whatever that's called, or a block or anything like that, go ahead and use it. But I'm pretty traditional. So what I'm gonna do is line this up right on top of that sewn line with my 45-degree angle here. And I want to trim off the absolute most minimal I can on 2 sides. So I'm gonna do that. It should just be little fuzzies here. Now guys, whenever this happens, okay, it's going to happen if you're using a traditional ruler like here. We can turn the blocks, we can do all that kind of stuff. You can flip if you're left-handed, you can do that. If you just keep your hand far enough away from it, you can come in here and do that without a problem, okay? Or if you have one of those specialty tools like I already mentioned, you can go ahead and just turn your block, or a Lazy Susan, a million ways to do it, okay? Now that I have my 2 sides here completely trimmed up perfect, it is time to decide what size block we want. I have enough room here to do a 6.5-inch block, which will be a 6.5-inch finish, which will make my quilt square a total of an 11.5-inch finished quilt square, which is a big size square for me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these all down really quickly. Perfect 6.5-inch square there. I'm going to do that to all my blocks. And guys, that's really what you should be trimming off of these, almost nothing. Obviously here, this is a super easy quilt block. If you want a more advanced version of this, we have a whole nother video on pinwheels linked right up there. Go ahead and check that video out, but let me show you how you finish this masterpiece here. What you're gonna do, since these are half square triangles, you're going to just orientate them in the way of the pinwheel block. It's now time to sew these. I'm gonna sew these 2 pieces together here. I'm gonna sew these 2 pieces together here. Once they are sewn together and ironed properly, then I'm gonna sew them together like so. Let's go ahead and do that. First one sewn, on to the second one. As far as ironing goes, I'm going to do an open seam iron. I'll show you how to do that. Come on over here. Just due to the nature of this block, no matter how I iron it, if I iron it this way, then you're gonna see through it. If I iron it this way, then you're gonna see through it up here. You can just open seam iron, which all I'm literally going to do is open this seam and iron that down. It will give me a very clean iron, along with make sure that my colors stay where they're supposed to stay. It's not crazy, but it does help a lot in the sewing process here in just 1 second. Yes, it does take longer to do an open seam iron. However, I know for sure that it makes a better quilt block. We are here to teach you to sew like a pro, and this is one of those tips. So we're gonna jump into here and sew this last piece here. Now I wanna make sure that my middle comes perfectly together into a perfect point, and since this is now open seamed, they kind of just sit perfectly on top of each other. It's worth every second of ironing to end up with a better project. Big reveal here should end you with a perfect center point pinwheel. It should be absolutely perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and iron this, give you guys the full reveal here. So, little pro tip here. You can see that there's a big bulk of fabric here, especially when you take it to your long armor. What most people do is just fold this all over so there's just one giant knot dead in the center. If you open seam iron this, you're now going to distribute that to 2 halves of the block, which comes out to be a better, just all the way around. And look at the satisfaction of that though, right? Once you know it's perfectly ironed. So that right there is a perfectly squared pinwheel block. Now you can make a bunch of these, put it all into a quilt. You can customize them, make them bigger, make them smaller. All of that is 100% available to you. But this is a fundamental block, guys. Since the 1800s, this block has been created, and there's a reason for that. This is a stepping stone. You need to learn how to make a beautiful half square triangle and a perfect pinwheel. Once you have a perfect pinwheel, something like this becomes way easier, and it's these little tips and tricks that's going to get you to that professional looking quilt very quickly. So if there's a quilt block that you've been struggling with, or you want to see how we do it here at Sew Yeah Quilting, let us know down in the comments below. And we do read those comments. On our last video, people talked about my bad cutting technique. I got it. Okay guys, I got the message here. Not only that, they asked for some pinwheels, some disappearing 9 patches. Just let us know down in the description below, and that will be next week's video. Now guys, if you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. We are on a goal to hit 100,000 subscribers, and not only that, we are really close to hitting 10,000 subscribers on Facebook and Instagram, so go ahead and follow us there if you haven't already. So, thank you so much for watching. If you want another tutorial on pinwheels, there's one linked right up in the corner there, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Sweet.